how deep do we want to get into market theory? There's
Talk about
there's a
whatever it is
thing
you want
about
about it.
markets, like where over time they become more and more efficient. So when you find an opportunity to make money and you start to exploit that and you start to be successful with that, everybody else starts doing the same thing. And once everybody's doing the same thing, game over.
Right.
And so a lot of that has happened with the hedge fund world, I believe,
Right.
post my leaving it. And so especially given the hedge funds fees that they charge. I think the fees are way too high. Sorry, hedge fund friends. And you're better off just doing a low cost mutual fund, long term buy and hold kind of strategy for the most part. You can sprinkle some exotic, risky hedge fund types of things around it. But the other thing is the regulation, which is good and great for the buyer. But I'll tell you, when I first got into it, you could do almost anything you wanted.
It was
in the
like
hedge fund
Bitcoin, huh?
world. Yeah, yeah, it was the Wild West, and people made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know how much money there is now. What it's about is the people who are the biggest, and it's just reflective of our whole world now, right? The society, like the big gets bigger, and the rest of us feel like we're getting a little bit left behind. And yeah,
So what would you tell someone that is thinking about getting into investing in general?
with starting from zero.
Yeah, like a young person who wants to, make stock market investments as part of their portfolio. What would you tell them?
I think the first thing that we always ask people is, what is your time horizon? And what is your risk tolerance, right?
Right.
So, do you need the money tomorrow? Is a very different approach than I'm saving this money in my 401k or my IRA and I don't need it for 50 years.
Right.
Those are two very different things. The risk tolerance thing is important because no matter how much you can convince your clients, I'm talking about it from like an advisor perspective, but to our audience, we could sit here and convince you that you shouldn't be concerned about risk so much. If you do get nervous, and you sell it, and that causes you to sell at the wrong time, the whole plan gets screwed up. So you have to be honest with yourself, with your advisor. How much risk are you willing to take? If you wake up tomorrow and you're down 20%, how's that going to make you feel? So once you talk to somebody about those very important parameters and what are their goals, are they saving for a house? And that kind of all comes in together. Then you talk about the type of investment they want to make, from very conservative to very aggressive. So, and the bond market has always been known as, the kind of the safer conservative side, income producing types of investments, all the way up to, now in the stock market, and then the riskiest part of the stock market, which are, the growth stocks, the tech stocks. They're very volatile. You can make a lot of money, you can lose a lot of money. And then even beyond that would be venture capital, investing in a startup business. And those are the things that, personally, I would suggest everybody dip their toe into, because I think it's important not to be too risk averse. I think a lot of people miss out on opportunities because of fear. Yes. And because and we can talk later, I hope, a little bit about mindset. I know that's something you're very passionate about.
I think you should bring that in right away.
So if you have a scarcity mindset and you're so afraid of losing what you have, you will always just have what you have. And maybe that's okay.
That's
where you have to get the whole picture from somebody's financial situation. But if you've got, a small nest egg and you're looking to turn that into something that you can retire on, you're probably going to want to take a little bit more risk. So that's why I say build a very diversified portfolio. And one of the things that I like to talk about, not only with investments, but with philanthropy, which we'll probably get to in a little bit too, that's my current passion, is start small, right? If you say, especially in the nonprofit world, right, one of the reasons that donors don't give so much is because they don't know what they're giving money to.
Right.
They don't understand what the actual outcomes are. There's a lot of opacity. There were in hedge funds opacity too, actually. But in nonprofits, they don't really understand what they're investing in or what they're giving money to. So if you just give a small amount and you start small, watch it, get to know the people over time, give a little more the next year, a little more the next year. Now you're starting to build trust, you're starting to build comfort, you're starting to understand what's actually happening with your money and with your philanthropy. And now that risk starts to feel less, and then you feel like you can give more. And so, I think one of the most important things in that context is start early, right? So that
Right.
you can start small and build over time and build that experience with real investments and learn through that process. And no amount is too small. I mean, you can open a Vanguard mutual fund account for $1,000. Now,
So that's what I was wanting to talk to you about. If you have an
yes.
18-year-old or a 20-year-old and their mom or their dad gave them $1,000 or $2,000, what would you tell them to do with that?
Well, I would tell them to do what I've done for my son, and I put in a Roth IRA.
Yes. Agreed.
Thank you. Okay. We're done.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is he self-managing that though? Did you have him
Nope.
self-manage that?
Right now, that's all at Vanguard. This is not a commercial for Vanguard, but I did work for John Bogle Jr. So yeah, I mean, Vanguard is a low-cost mutual fund
Right.
provider, so
Yep.
that's a beautiful thing about
Yep.
the Vanguard platform. So it's managed at Vanguard. Now, again, given this approach I'm talking about is sort of ramping up risk over time, over your life, he may choose, and he does have other money that he kind of plays around in the stock market, again, just as a way to, learn.